Well, at least PJ Washington is back for the Mavericks tonight. That's about all I got for you. We'll preview tonight's game as the Mavericks take on the Sacramento Kings. Coming up next here on the DLS Mavs pregame show. Here we go. Hey, what's up, DLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks analyst Bobby Carrella. We are DLS Mavs, your favorite guys covering your favorite team every single game, no matter who plays or who doesn't, for your favorite Dallas Mavericks. At Kevin Gray Sports, at Bobby Carrella. We'll be joined by our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. Coming up next segment, you can find him on X at Tim_Cato. Mavericks, or some semblance of the Mavericks, take on the Sacramento Kings tonight in game number 33 of the season. The story tonight, which we will dive into over the course of the next half hour to get you ready for tonight's game, is who is not playing for the Dallas Mavericks tonight. Really appreciate you joining us, though, here on DLL Sports, here on YouTube. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe while you are here. But Bobby Carrella, that is the story of tonight's game, is the Mavericks, who are at 20-12 on the season, 10-7 away from the American Airlines Center, take on a reeling Sacramento Kings team that's lost 6 straight, that are 13-19 on the season, including 6-12 at home so far this year. Tonight, though, the Mavericks might need you and I to jump on a plane to maybe try and help out, because there's not a lot of guys that you know of are necessarily going to be playing tonight. Yeah,
it's going to be a tough one. I mean, to every Mavs fan that bought a ticket to see that game tonight, I'm really sorry. An unfortunate reality of the NBA is that there's a lot of games, and nights like this are going to happen. I think we were all thinking and maybe even secretly hoping that this thing would have been happening the other night against Portland.
Agreed.
Instead of trying to grind it out on the second night of a back-to-back, but they did what they did. I don't agree with it. It also would have meant that experience would be over with and we'd get to watch some real basketball tonight.
Correct.
But it is what it is, man. It's a bummer. The brutal stretch of schedule continues. It's very annoying. But we're going to get through the next 3 hours together. We're going to do that right here on the DLS Sports YouTube channel.
I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat any of it. I mean, based on who's out for tonight's game, it's going to be a difficult game. Regardless, it was already going to be out from the Mavericks. It got that much more difficult as we found out that not only, of course, are the Mavericks missing Luka Doncic, of course, dealing with the left calf strain. Dereck Lively II is going to be missing his 3rd straight game. He's got a left hip contusion. Kyrie Irving was ruled out earlier today with shoulder soreness. And then we found out about 45 minutes ago that Klay Thompson has also been ruled out of tonight's game as he is dealing with illness. This is already on top of the fact that Naji Marshall is going to be missing his 2nd straight game, of course, due to the suspension use of Nurkic that was handed down to him by way of what happened to him against the Phoenix Suns. But hey, shout out to PJ Washington. He's going to go at it tonight with some other guys on the team to try and make it happen against Sacramento.
Yeah, I think, as far as I know, we've still yet to hear any rulings about the chicanery and the real tomfoolery that happened last night between the Heat and the Rockets.
Yeah.
If there aren't at least 15 players suspended from that game, I've never been one, like I'm like a slacktivist. I don't actually participate in political movements or anything. Like I don't demonstrate in the streets or anything.
What did you call it?
A slacktivist.
Oh, okay.
I'll post on you, but I'm not going to get out there.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
If there aren't at least a dozen games worth of suspensions handed out for that last night, I will absolutely form a union and picket outside of the NBA's headquarters until my needs are met.
Because I've been tossing through Tyler Hero down like a rag doll. It kind of reminded me of what happened with him and Maxi Kleber, actually.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was Terry Rozier or what, but someone jumped on top of him, and it was very...
It was Rozier, yeah. It was Terry Rozier.
It was very violent.
Yeah.
And that was way worse than anything I saw PJ Washington or Naji Marshall do. I didn't sleep last night. I was so terrified by what I saw. Also, Amon Thompson, Naji Marshall, repeat offender. Amon Thompson, way worse of a repeat offender, in my opinion.
Yes.
So, NBA, do the right thing or else.
By the way, that Rockets game, the Mavericks are playing the Rockets on New Year's Day. That's the next game for Houston. So, between what happened on Saturday, or last night, I should say, and the game on Wednesday, that's the Rockets' next game is against Dallas.
It's cool that they just get a bunch of time off and they get to go home. Meanwhile, the Mavs are playing a back-to-back where they traveled almost 3 hours, and now they're in Northern California. They're going to fly home tomorrow and then have to play a game. Like, whatever, dude. I'm just so ready for the playoffs to start. I'm so ready.
No. You can't be that guy because you was the guy earlier this year to say, hey, you can't just fast forward all the way to the playoffs.
You can.
Now you can do that?
Tonight, I'm going to fast forward. I'm skipping scenes, baby.
You're skipping all the scenes.
Just give me to the fight scenes.
To get to April.
Tired of this.
Well, we don't want any more fight scenes as of late because you know how the NBA feels about that.
Yeah, that's true.
Shout out to Drew who says the whole Rockets team deserves at least one game. He also said something about Alperen Sengun should be suspended for like 20 games or something.
I agree.
Like that.
That's very true.
Well, let's try to think about tonight's game however much we want to based on who is available and who's not available. The Mavericks come into tonight's game, of course, a game and a half behind the Memphis Grizzlies for the second seed in the Western Conference. Mavericks, of course, 9-5 against teams below 500 so far this year. They're also 15-5 on the Mavericks in their last 20 games after what was a 5-7 start. For Dallas, they are 9-3 in their last 12 road games. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit more difficult tonight to try to get that win as they're taking on a Sacramento Kings team that's pretty much at full strength tonight. We'll get to who has been playing well for them despite the 6-game losing streak that the Kings are on. But the Mavericks, of course, playing their third game of their current 4-game road trip, which will culminate on Wednesday on New Year's Day when they take on the Houston Rockets. The Mavericks, of course, 7-3 this season without Luka Doncic. Meanwhile, Sacramento has been in free fall as of late. They are in turmoil as a franchise. They just fired their head coach, Mike Brown, a few days ago. Doug Christie is serving as their interim head coach, no matter how much of a leash he is on when it comes to Doug Christie. If you know what I'm talking about, you'll pay attention to that reference. The Kings are 12th in the West. They've lost 6 straight games with 0-5 on their most recent homestand. They begin a new homestand tonight with the 3-game homestand, starting with the Dallas Mavericks. They will play 4 of their next 5 games at home. They'll play Philadelphia on Wednesday on New Year's Day. The Kings so far this year, just 5-14 versus teams above 500. They lost on Saturday to the Los Angeles Lakers 132-122.
They didn't even win the coach bounce back game?
Oh, no. Anthony Davis crushed them.
It's going to take a lot of work to lose tonight's game, though.
Yeah, it should take a minimal effort, I would say, on the Kings' part to win tonight's game. But that kind of gives you a look at the big picture for both the Mavericks and the Kings going into tonight's game, which gets us to the scouting report, if you will, when it comes to the Mavericks taking on the Kings tonight.
Yes. So the Kings are languishing. They are reeling. They are fading fast. I think it's going to take quite a bit for them to even get back into the play-in picture at this point. And a lot of that is because they tried to make a big new addition this summer. They went out and got DeMar DeRozan, and that just has not worked out. I thought that was like an oil and water fit, to be honest, at the time. I feel very vindicated now for believing that. But that trio, DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis, and De'Aaron Fox, is kind of the Kings' big three. Whenever they're on the floor together this season, the Kings are positive. They're plus 0.9. +1 if you want to round up.
Wow.
Per 100 possessions.
That's it?
Yeah, and that's it. And that is positive, but by comparison, the Kyrie, Klay, Luka trio, which got off to a pretty inauspicious start, is +5 per 100. So the Kings are that's a pretty poor showing for your big three that eats up majority of your salary cap. Whenever it's just DeRozan and De'Aaron Fox, they're -18 per 100 possessions with a nearly 130 defensive rating. This is a very, very bad defensive team. And part of their turnaround, part of the reason they went to the playoffs a couple of years ago and were in it last year is because their defense was pretty respectable. That hasn't totally been the case this season. And also their offense is not as good as it was last year either. Like, they're just kind of worse all across the board. And Mike Brown was the one that paid the price for that. Now, I don't pretend to know what's going on out in Kingsville or Kingsland, but the great Lemon Pepper Lou Williams logged on the internet today and said that part of the reason, or maybe the reason, Mike Brown got fired is because he lost the locker room, due in part to publicly questioning and criticizing De'Aaron Fox at times, and also exploring the possibility of bringing DeMar DeRozan off the bench. And apparently those two things, a bridge too far. Now, Fox has shot that down. He has shot that down publicly and said, none of that was going on. This is wrong. Don't believe what Lou Will's saying. But Lou Will's not just talking out of his butt. He's hearing that from someone. Okay, somebody is telling Lou Will that that's the case.
If and God forbid a head coach of a team try to make his team better.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Now, that made me think immediately of two things. One, J-Kid very frequently publicly criticizes Luka.
Very much so.
To my knowledge, that has not been an issue. So that speaks to either Luka's maturity or J-Kid's cachet. I know there's a lot of J-Kid's hater in the fan base, so let's just chalk it up to Luka being a real mature guy, and he's just super awesome. But also, this makes me think that there are organizational decisions, right? If the coach is considering bringing a guy like DeRozan off the bench, maybe that pisses off DeRozan, but also possibly that pisses off the owner or the GM or the people that put the resources out there to bring that guy in. And they're said, nah, we're not going to do that. We're going to go down with our guys. We're not going to let you submarine this thing, or ostensibly submarine this thing by making that decision, and he gets canned. So, for example, whenever I get on here and say, I really wish the Mavs just would have sat everybody against Portland instead of against the Kings, there could be a lot of reasons why that happened. I'm not going to pretend to know. It could be a player thing. It could be a coach thing. Could be a GM thing. Could go all the way up to the owner. We will never know. But the only example we have of that is the very last games of the 22-23 season. The Mavs beat the Kings, actually, and then the following night out, benched everybody against the Bulls.
Against Chicago, that's
and
right.
And J-Kid and Luka were both upset about it. And
Yes.
J-Kid said, that's not my call. And it led to the Mavs getting fined.
Oh, he
so
did
again,
actually put that all out there, didn't he?
yeah. So again, organizations make decisions. So you can criticize whoever you want for any decision at any point in time. You will never know who's making the ultimate call. And that includes sometimes we will not know either.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a very long-winded way of saying the Kings are really bad, but I do think they're going to win this game tonight.
That's a great recollection, because I had forgotten that kid that basically just put it out there. It's like, yeah, that wasn't my call.
Yeah.
And Luka was pissed off about it.
It was
too.
the correct call.
Organizationally, it was the correct call.
Just
yes.
like not trading for DeMar would have been the right move, but now that you have him, bringing him off the bench is also the right move. In my opinion, they should be starting Fox and either Malik Monk or just somebody else, Keon Ellis or somebody. They should not be playing Fox, DeMar, and Sabonis. That's a lot of stuff happening 18 feet from the rim, and that is just not good. That's not how you play offense anymore.
De'Aaron Fox, of course, is going to lead the Kings offensively in 18 home games this year, averaging nearly 28 points per game, shooting 50% from the field and 40% from three, while dishing out over 6 assists per contest as well. Domantas Sabonis in his last 10 games, averaging nearly 21 points, shooting 55% from the field while grabbing over 15 rebounds per game as well in his last 10. DeMar DeRozan averaging nearly 21 points in 27 games so far this year. By the way, the Mavericks just smoked my game notes tonight because I had everything kind of set out and prepared for tonight. Because I was going to talk about how the Mavericks are going to be led offensively by Klay Thompson.
Too bad, pal. No, they won't.
That's not a thing tonight. So PJ Washington, come on down. You're going to do everything tonight for the Dallas Mavericks, both offensively and defensively. PJ Washington, who is back tonight after serving the one-game suspension for his role in the altercation with Jusuf Nurkic and the Phoenix Suns, averaging a little over 12 points per game and also over 6 rebounds per contest in 31 games so far this year. This is the first game that the Mavericks are playing against Sacramento this year after the two teams split the season series last year 2-2. Bobby, I'm sure you know this. The road team won every single game between the Mavericks and the Kings last year, but Mavericks have won 6 of the last 10 games between these two teams. Tonight's game, of course, is the only one in Sacramento. The other 2 will be played in Dallas. They will see each other right before the All-Star break here in Dallas on February the 10th. So if you're looking for some kind of omen tonight, the road team won every game in this series last year during the regular season.
Yeah, records are made to be broken. I'm making this promise to you now, and I can confidently say this before the ball is tipped or whatever. I'm not going to get mad by anything we see tonight. My expectations are below the Empire Today flooring in our studio.
Oh, look what you did. That's good.
They could not be any lower. If the Mavs are even competitive in this game, I will be thrilled. Like, I am not expecting any. The only thing that I want out of tonight is for nobody else to get hurt or get sick.
Yeah.
That's it. Anything more than that is a huge success.
I mean, as Bobby has eloquently noted, I'm just going to come out right and say this is a scheduled loss. Like, that's what tonight is going to be for the Dallas Mavericks. As much as I know folks are pissed off in the chat, I see how angry you are in terms of the players that are missing, that are not playing. This is what happens from time to time in the league, is that you're going to have scheduled losses, and tonight is definitely one of those for the Dallas Mavericks. We will see.
Aviv says if the Kings lose, they should blow it up. I agree.
If the
Kings lose, time's up.
Everybody got to go.
If the Mavs beat the Kings tonight, they should get to pick one player from the Kings and add them to their roster, like with no financial penalty.
Oh, which one would you pick?
Probably. I mean, is De'Aaron Fox going to be cool coming off the bench? If so, Fox, get over here.
I'll take Sabonis. Give me that front court help.
Dude, no shot. You're going to bring – what are you going to do? I guess that frees you up to trade Gafford.
There you go. There you go. We'll ask Tim Cato that very same question.
Ooh, that's a good – can we spend the whole show just scheming?
Just scheming, trying to figure out ways. We'll probably have to do that. Coming up next week, we'll talk to our Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato and get his thoughts on tonight's game as the Mavericks take on the Sacramento
Keon
Kings.
Ellis, Tim, shut up,
relax,
dude.
Cato, relax. You'll have your time here in a second. But first, we got to talk to you a little bit about Sleeper.
All right, my sleeper play for tonight is pretty grim. I'm not going to lie. I think PJ Washington is going to make more than 1.5 threes. I was looking around at Spencer Dinwiddie and some of the other guys on the Mavs, and I was just like, man, none of this is really speaking to me. I'm taking Domantas Sabonis for less than 33.5 points and rebounds because, frankly, I don't think he's going to play enough minutes to accumulate those stats. And then De'Aaron Fox, I think he's going to come out at a pretty quick start. I'm taking him for more than 5.5 points in the first quarter. I think he's going to come out really aggressive, and I think the Kings are going to build a pretty big lead. So I'm very confident about this play. And my $5 pick'em, when I succeed, will pay out $25.10 because on Sleeper, the more like individual things you pick, you can actually multiply your winnings. So I have a 5.02 times multiplier on my Sleeper play tonight. I've actually, I think, lost. I might have lost either one or two in a row. I think I won on Christmas. I did win on Christmas. I lost the last game. So I need to get back in the win column tonight. I don't know if the Mavs will, but use promo code DLLS Mavs. Your deposit $5 on a new account. You get $55 free to play with on the Sleeper app.
By the way, shout out to the dear 130 of you watching us live right now. Y'all are really, truly appreciated as you watch us here.
I love all of you so much.
On the DLS Mavs pregame show. With that being said, we bring in our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato, as the Mavericks take on Sacramento. Before we get Tim's thoughts on tonight's game, let's just run down real quick the injury report. It is lengthy for the Mavericks, not necessarily for the Sacramento Kings. Jay Crowder is the only one that's...
Where'd we go? Oh, thank God.
There we go. Jay Crowder is the only one that's out tonight for Sacramento. He's dealing with some low back soreness. But as we have noted, Kyrie Irving, right shoulder soreness. Luka Doncic, left calf strain. Naji Marshall, suspension. Dereck Lively II, left hip contusion. Klay Thompson, illness. Dante Exum, right wrist surgery. All out tonight for the Dallas Mavericks. With that, we bring in our intrepid beat reporter. You can find him on X at Tim_Cato. He is Tim Cato. Tim, what's going on?
The Mavericks have a 50-win team of injured players right now.
I bet that starting lineup could go to the finals. What do you think?
That's astute observation, Bobby. That's good. What you got for us? What you got for us, Tim, on tonight's game, man? Anything?
Please say something.
So the way Kevin usually does this is he tees up me and everybody else. Like his job, he's very good at this. He tees us stuff. Tees us up with stuff. Right now, that was Kevin's version of a cry for help. Like, please, Tim, do you have anything to talk about right now?
Tim, take the wheel. Take the wheel.
So little to talk about.
Oh, so you got nothing for real?
Oh, yeah,
okay,
great. Literally just nothing. Like
he's got nothing for real. Okay.
Yeah.
I had a little inside baseball into how this whole thing works. I'm at an undisclosed location involving my parents' house, but so even I'm not in studio for this. So you guys are real warriors. Well, I thought I would at least explain what's happening.
The idea that you said at an undisclosed location inside of your parents' home, like that's the part that kind of got me a little bit. That's kind of hilarious. We did have an idea. Enough. We did have an idea though. If the Mavericks do win tonight, we get to pick a player from Sacramento, like tax-free, apron-free, to be able to put on the Mavericks. So which player are you picking if the Mavericks actually pull it off tonight?
Is De'Aaron Fox willing to come off the bench?
That's
Stealing my line.
He literally.
But I
said
think
the
I'm
exact same thing.
picking Sabonis. You know, give me that front court help.
Shut up, Tim.
He's literally just saying the same things we said. That's all he did. He literally just repeated exactly.
Just say
what we said.
Keon Ellis and we
Murray.
can move on.
I mean, I think Keon Ellis would. I don't know. He's fine. Keegan Murray is obviously the real answer. If you could take one player, you know, you would easily take him. He would be, you know, he'd probably be the team's best point of attack defender. I don't know.
I have an
I
authentic question for you though, Tim. Actually,
Yeah.
Oh, now you got.
I'm gonna
stuff?
save the day. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm gonna
all
save
right,
the day.
cool.
So, Tim, the Kings have a bunch of players that I kind of enjoy, like Fox, Ellis, Monk. I mean, DeRozan to a degree, Sabonis, Keegan Murray. Like, they have a bunch of dudes that are pretty good. Kevin Huerter, pretty good player. Why are they so bad? Like, not, and I don't mean this to be insulting. Like, what is going on? Why is it not working?
I mean, some of what I'm going to say is kind of obvious, but the NBA, you know, it's the sport with the fewest players on the court. And I just don't think they get quite as much from their top two guys as a lot of teams with really good players get from their top two guys. And it hurts me to say that about Sabonis, or it hurts me to say that about De'Aaron Fox. And Sabonis is a really good player, but I think Sabonis specifically just kind of puts a limit on how high your ceiling can go is my best theory. And I think DeRozan is also fairly ceiling limiting in terms of just he's going to get 20 shots, but if those 20 shots were going to worse players who are just going to miss their shots, then it's better than that. So he's a floor raiser. But theoretically, like if you put DeRozan on the Mavericks, he's going to be scoring at, his usual clip of like 1.02 points per possession, and that's not a very good offensive number. And Luka generates, or quite frankly, like DeRozan in his isolation, he's scoring like, 0.9 or 0.89 or something like that. And Luka on pick and rolls, generates just more than that. It's just simple math. And so I just think they've accumulated two ceiling limits who don't mesh super well with each other. And, it just hasn't gone well at all.
Sacramento Kings to me are the Atlanta Hawks of the West. Like, they bother my spirit because they have no direction. They have no vision. It feels like they just move just to be moving. And then when they finally get somebody who has a sense of direction on how to lead a team, they decide to jump and abandon ship at the first sign of adversity. I get it. You smoked a 5-game homestand. Okay, it happens from time to time. But my gosh, like Mike Brown has proven throughout the course of his time in the league to objectively be a very good coach. And I just found the way that the Kings went about the entire situation was kind of bush league, to be honest with you. But it is what it is. It's not my franchise I got to cover and deal with. So good luck to them when it comes to that.
That's how bad teams stay bad. Bad organizations stay
yes.
bad.
Yes.
And like for as much credit as we want to give to players when they succeed, it's a player-driven league. Obviously, I've said it before on the show. Like Jerry Krause wasn't totally wrong whenever he said that organizations win championships. Like the Kings are a lousy organization, and until they fix the organization, hey, stuff like this is going to happen.
I think that's true. I like to, because it's harder to diagnose that stuff, because there's not publicly available stats on how good or not well your franchise is run. In a lot of instances, I try to stick to what we know and then stick to the reporting or, my own or others in terms of trying to unravel it. But I do think the Kings have proven that there is some sort of organizational rot deep down, within their ownership, and it's just not working. And I like their GM on a personal level. I have a relationship with him, nice guy, but I don't like a lot of the decisions they've made. I don't think DeRozan was the right choice. And even today, it came out and there was basically the reporting was that they explored the trade market. And when they felt they couldn't trade for any of those players, that's when they fired Mike Brown. And that seems like a horrendous. That does not seem like a good way to do business to me. But also the trade targets they went after were Zach LaVine, who's a good player, although I have no clue how he fits. And then it was like Kyle Kuzma and Cam Thomas and I'm blinking. There's another name in there, but it's like these same sort of guys. And if that reporting was true, it just feels like a doubling down on what the NBA prioritized 10 years ago. It doesn't feel like a very modern approach.
Just feels like
Keegan Murray.
Here's the guys that I've heard of. Let's go get them.
Let's see if we can get those guys. Yeah,
Tom, I saw a highlight. He looked pretty cool.
Right. And Keegan Murray was going to be their like modern star. And he has stopped short of his development has slowed. This season, he has taken a half step back just based off his numbers. How much is that specifically on him? How much of that is that he doesn't fit well trying to play next to DeRozan? I'm not sure. Because DeRozan is somebody who operates inside the 3-point arc. Not because he's driving there, but because he wants the ball in there. And so even in the situations where he's passing out, his man is still closer. He's not a guy who operates above the break, past the 3-point line and thus pulls defenses out past that. It just makes it harder. And, this is already a team that operates through Sabonis. Now they operate through DeRozan as well. And so, where's DeAndre, De'Aaron Fox going to drive to? Where is Keegan Murray, especially, who is someone who, has to balance delicately, getting his shot versus deferring to stars. Where is he going to go get his shots? Like those driving lanes, those opportunities, those advantageous situations that he probably was more used to reading last season are not going to be, are not there as much. So I don't know. The Kings make me sad. The Light the Beam was fun, but as someone pointed out in the chat, even that was a little fluky at times. And
dude, Light the Beam was so cool though. That was awesome.
Light the Beam was
super cool.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm sure folks who saw or watching right now saw me put my tablet down. Who needs that? Based on what's going to be happening tonight. So we're just gonna name the coolest thing that could possibly happen tonight for tonight's game. What's the coolest thing that could possibly happen?
Realistically?
Yeah.
Okay. I think the coolest thing that could realistically happen tonight is that I think it would be really cool if Jaden Hardy had like 35 points or something.
You took I was going to say 30.
Yeah. If PJ goes off somehow, it gets like 40.
Yeah.
Or like Gafford has like a 25
Grimes.
game or something. Ooh, if Grimes goes
Quentin
for 30.
Grimes could do 35.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, just something like, let's just give me something to watch. Or like if Goatman comes in and gets 20 off the bench or something. Just like something that's like, hey, this is something cool from this disgusting, ridiculous excuse for an NBA game that I can take with me.
I see you, Luke. The Mavs win.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
The question was realistic. Just kidding. I'm not trying to dump on anybody or whatever.
No.
It's going to be a very, very, very hard game to win. But crazier things have happened.
If Omax got a double,
I'll leave you guys with one.
Omax 15 and 5.
If Omax went for 15 and 5 or a double, that would be incredible.
That's the best case snenario. That's like the, oh my God, Omax just went off. He got 15.
Omax and Maxey combined for 20. Like, oh, what? Oh my God.
By the way, I think somebody put the starting lineup in the chat. Shout out to you who did that. Can you go back up just a little bit?
Yeah, it's Hardy, Dinwiddie, Grimes, PJ Gafford. That's a fine lineup. I mean, they could play some fun basketball for a little bit.
How long?
A little bit.
I got you about a good seven and a half minutes.
A little bit. Here's a bold prediction. That starting lineup will be competitive tonight for at least the first quarter. Half.
Oh, first half.
I think the Mavs bench is going to get pulverized, but I think that starting five can actually play some basketball.
Okay.
For a little bit.
Okay.
For a little bit.
Okay. A little bit for me is a quarter, but for you it's the first half.
A half is a little bit.
Okay. All right. Well, there's some intrigue there for you boys and girls when it comes to the Mavericks taking on the Sacramento Kings tonight. We will be back 15 minutes after the final buzzer as the Mavericks take on Sacramento. We'll be joined by our national NBA insider, Mark Stein, as well as the Mavericks face Sacramento and continue their road trip.
We're going to get into all sorts of hijinks on the post game.
Yeah, it's going to be off the rails tonight.
If you guys are really sad by the result, my parents have a 7-month old kitten. who I will totally bring on the post game.
Yeah, might as well, dude.
Might as
Why not?
well. Yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
I'll go find a
Yeah,
cat.
like,
I'll
just to
go
bring
wander
No, don't
around.
do that. No,
okay.
no.
Oh, okay.
Leave the strays on the
All right,
street,
I won't
my
do
guy.
that then.
Leave
Sorry.
them on the street.
Sorry.
Tim, we appreciate you reporting from an unknown location inside your parents' home. Appreciate you. And we'll talk to you post game, my guy.
See you then.
Bye, Tim.
That's our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. It's time for us to go. We're going to go watch this basketball game along with you, the Maverick fan. Tanner's going to be like,
Do we have to?
Hey, Luke.
oh, now you want to talk in the mic? Now you got something to say in the mic?
Luke and Soren and Ardell and John. There's
Shout out
so
to
many.
y'all.
There's so many familiar people in here. Kleb is in here. Like, there's so many of y'all that are with us every single dang night. And if
all
you're someone that's
seriousness,
going to be with
yes.
us on a night like this, you are first off, I'm worried for your safety. But secondly, you are awesome.
Y'all are, yeah, shout out to all of you. No, in all seriousness, shout out to all of y'all. We really appreciate it because it's on nights like this that we need y'all. Trust me.
I'm not strong enough for this.
Neither am I. Neither am I.
I need help.
Even in my nice DLS Mav shirt.
It's a good looking shirt.
Shout out to you, Ardell. I appreciate you noticing, man. For Bobby Carella, Kevin Gray, we'll talk to you 15 minutes after the Mavericks take on the Kings here on DLS Sports. Y'all be good. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.